Welcome back, folks. We are just getting angry and a guest to join us here shortly. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the show. We're here for the Start Me Up mission from Virgin Orbit. It's going to be the first orbital launch from Western Europe. Enjoy a little bit of music and some views of Cosmic Go while we just arrange a few things back end for you guys.
Cigarette ash, it looks like snow when it falls in the wind, you know. And
I think there may be some of you who are new to this channel. I'm getting the impression because I have added like 200 new subscribers over the course of the last 30 to 60 minutes. It's rather amazing. So for any newcomers, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. I have been tracking this moment, this launch for the last 2 years. I conducted my first interview with Mel Thorpe, the director here at Spaceport Cornwall 2 years ago. And in those days, it really wasn't certain at all that this was going to be taking place. Absolutely no guarantee that any of this was going to be happening. There was a great deal of speculation, actually, especially given the experience that the UK has gone through before, all of the very heart-wrenching disappointments that the UK has experienced in the history of their space program. Britain has always been really good at building satellites, but those satellites have almost entirely been launched by my country, by the US. And that's something that, if all goes well tonight, that changes tonight. Now, of course, Virgin Orbit is an American company, but the difference is all of this is being funded by Britain, with the exception, of course, of Virgin Orbit taking care of their own expenses. But this spaceport, all of the satellite integration, the payload customers, from a company providing maritime reconnaissance satellites to microgravity manufacturing to a couple of satellites being launched by the UK Space Agency. This is without a doubt a European mission, primarily a British mission, but also there's a satellite from Oman on this mission as well. So this is a momentous time when all of a sudden launches are going to start taking place on this side of the Atlantic. And that is a huge thing. And this is only the beginning. What happens here at Spaceport Cornwall is just a minute piece of everything that's taking place here in Britain. Up north, we have Saxavord Spaceport that they just have completed their first launch pad and are preparing to send up their first customer. They're also about to complete 2 more launch pads with an approved launch cadence of 30 rockets per year, 30 rockets per year, a rocket every 10 days. So we're looking at the second busiest spaceport in the world. Only Cape Canaveral having a higher cadence of launches than Saxavord, at least according to current plans. The first launch out of there will be a company called ABL, which is an American company. But those companies, there's going to be British companies as well. For example, Skyrora, company out of Edinburgh, Scotland. They are going to be launching out of Saxavord. We also have a company called Orbex. They're not launching out of Saxavord. They have their own spaceport, Spaceport Sutherland. They intend to be launching. All of these will be happening either in 2023 or 2024. We also have German spaceflight companies that are planning on launching out of the UK. Rocket Factory Augsburg, for example, RFA, I've interviewed them several times. Also, High Impulse, they have a new hybrid rocket that they're going to be deploying. And again, it will be launched and tested at Saxavord Spaceport in Shetland. On top of that, you also have just a huge number of others, 2 launch providers out of Spain, for example. Just the list goes on and on. European spaceflight providers that are going to completely change the face of competitive private spaceflight. And as I said, all of that happens tonight. It's a very big deal. And of course, that's why this mission is called Start Me Up. And incidentally, the Rolling Stones have an open invitation tonight. I strongly doubt they're going to show up in this miserable weather. We have nearly 700 people watching. Guys, please like, please subscribe, and also to all of you who have been supporting this channel in terms of super chats, in terms of joining up as what we call angry advocates and becoming part of our Discord community, also Patreon, PayPal, many ways to support this. And I wouldn't be here. It would be impossible for me to be here without the generous support of the viewers, the awesome viewers who watch this channel. Thank you so much for making this moment possible, because I have been seriously looking forward to it. So when will the launch be? Well, as you can see, we are approximately 34 minutes away from the moment that that Cosmic Girl will go wheels up from Newquay Airport, from Spaceport Cornwall. From that time, it takes approximately an hour for Cosmic Girl to climb to 10,000 meters and get into the proper position, make sure that the environmental conditions are right, winds are right, trajectory is right, etc., in order to drop the rocket. The rocket drop is scheduled for 11 o'clock or so. depending, of course, on the circumstances with the prevailing winds, etc., that are going on up at that altitude. But as of right now, everything is looking ideal. For those of you who are watching in Southwest England, or for those of you who are watching in Southern Ireland, it is possible for you to see this rocket, at least in theory. If the oh wow, we just got a super chat from Anton Nim. Thank you so much for that. You've been contributing to this channel for so long. Deeply, deeply appreciate it. Thank you so much for being part of our community. So yeah, if you are in Southern Ireland or in Southwest England, assuming that you have a clear field of vision, assuming that you don't have a tremendously overcast sky, it is possible for you to see this, especially at night. Rockets really light up the sky at night. Even at this considerable distance, it's very possible that you'll be able to see it happen. So feel free, as we get close to the time of drop, to wander outside and see whether or not you can catch a glimpse. By the way, if you happen to see it, if you happen to film it, feel free to share that with me on my Twitter. You just look for me on Twitter. It's very easy to find me, Angry Astronaut on Twitter, and I would be more than happy to post that. So big moments. Feel free to ask any questions that you would like to ask. By the way, we have over 800 people watching right now. Very, very excited about all that. Also, I've had an opportunity this evening to speak to a representative from Virgin Orbit. They are surprisingly relaxed, and here's why. They've gotten to a point with their processes and with the procedures that they have in place to where their mission control, as it was described to me, as one of the most boring places in the world, which is a great thing. If you have a boring mission control, that means you have a mission control that knows what they're doing and really are thinking a bit more about when they're going to be able to go home tonight, as opposed to whether or not the rocket is actually going to make it to orbit. They're not concerned about that at all, which I admire the confidence. You never know about space, but nevertheless, it seems that things are going very well. Raven, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate that. This is Colin. Thank you so much for that. Yes, indeed. I would be more than happy to keep Colin occupied all day here on this channel. I've been broadcasting since approximately 1 p.m. GMT. So, yeah, it's been a long day, a very long day indeed. Thank you so much. Yes, this has been quite a process for me, to say the least. You're looking at over 3.5 months that I spent here, not just waiting on this launch, but also touring all of the UK and the various spaceflight initiatives that are happening here. And I'll tell you, I saw so much, from a new type of ion engine being pushed forward by a company called MagDrive. I have my interview with them online, to my journey to Saxaboard and everything that they're accomplishing up there. That was quite an endeavor to get to Shetland. I'll tell you, people who live up there, they are some dedicated people to want to live in that environment. It is extremely harsh and extremely difficult to get up there. You really can't get up there unless you go via a ferry, sometimes by plane, but it's not an easy thing to do. In any event, it is quite a commitment indeed. We are looking at approximately 30 minutes. Yes, I have pasties almost every night, just to let you know. That's my staple when I come over here. I have pasties almost every night for dinner, or for lunch, whatever. It's definitely an important part of my diet when I come to the UK. Aberdeenshire, hello, thank you. Peter Bellamy, thank you so much. Really do appreciate your incredibly generous support. Thank you so much for the $50. I'll tell you, you've been a huge supporter of this channel for so long, and like I say, simply would not be here without you. My viewers, it's very moving, I'll tell you. Very moving indeed. You guys have accomplished astonishing things. Over 860 people currently watching this broadcast. I'll tell you, it's incredible to see the number of people who are currently watching. Just out of interest, let me go ahead and have a look and see where we are. Subscribers have jumped to 93,735, sitting at 6,265 subscribers away from that 100K, that magical 100K, where YouTube really starts taking your channel seriously. A huge thing indeed. Once again, Peter, thank you so much for your generous support. And like I say, if you other ways for you guys to support, if you wish, is to hit that little join button down below your screen. Become part of our Discord community. We have lots of people who are on the inside of space flight around the world looking out, people who can provide you with amazing information about everything that's going on before even the news agencies get it. Really cool stuff that I've come to be aware of. Christina, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate that. So happy that you guys are watching tonight, and thank you so much for your generous support. We're pushing almost 900 live viewers right now. Again, absolutely mind-blowing. Can't believe how many of you are here, and we are getting close, guys. We are getting so close. Like I say, it may not look like they're making any progress over there, but that's what I thought when I was in Mojave filming it. And I was saying, okay, I'm checking this out, etc. I think I better go to the other end of the runway to catch them as they take off. I went to make a brief stop at my hotel, and my producer calls me, says, get your ass to the other side of the runway. They're taking off right now. I barely made it in time to see Sir Richard Branson on the other side of the fence, and Cosmic Girl goes screaming overhead. That's how quick they can make all of this happen. It is such a rapid process once they are ready to go. So we are getting very close indeed. Once again, this is a launch that will not be taking place, directly in front of us, but at the same time, you will get to see it. We will be feeding into Virgin Orbit's live stream. You'll have to listen to my annoying commentary throughout the whole process, but and we're going to be with you for the whole duration of this damn thing. We're not going to be here just for the launch, just for the takeoff or anything like that, or even for when Cosmic Girl returns and lands and the pilots and crew step out. We're going to be here to confirm that the satellites have been properly delivered in their appropriate orbits. So we are going to be here for the duration, guys, with you all the way to make sure that all of this goes very well. I'll tell you, the tension is high. There's no question. People may seem relaxed, but there has to be some tension going right now. This is Virgin Orbit's first attempt at carrying out a mission, transatlantic, carrying out a mission from the United Kingdom. It's never happened before. They've never tried to carry out a mission from anywhere except Mojave. So they are trying to prove that they can conduct a mission any place, anytime, as long as you have an appropriate runway in place, as long as you have appropriate facilities to handle a 747. So if this mission goes well, that means that's their proof. And that is going to give them their competitive edge. If it doesn't go well, it's not only bad for Virgin Orbit, it's bad for British space flight in general. A lot riding on this mission tonight. I'll be here the entire time to bring you all of the details. So lots going on here. By the way, we have well over 1,000 locals who have gathered, in addition to VIPs from the British government. And elsewhere. So many people have gathered here in this awful weather to see this momentous event. Fortunately, the rain has dropped off. That is a huge thing, obviously. So feeling very good about that. We got hammered by rainfall, by hail, by sleet. And I thought for sure camera equipment would get damaged and such, but our awesome cameraman, Matt, managed to keep everything up and running and keep everything safe. And I'll tell you, that was something else. Matt, let's hear you call out who we need to call out tonight.
WestwardShippingNews.com.
WestwardShippingNews.com. Make sure that you go there in order to check out everything that's happening in Plymouth. and everything that's happening as far as UK maritime economy is concerned. Very important stuff happening here in the West that has nothing to do with spaceflight, but still important indeed. And Matt is donating his time tonight. He's doing this for free. So obviously we want to give as much attention to this organization as possible in return. Louise, thank you so much for the £2. Really do appreciate that. And hello back to London. Obviously one of my favorite cities in the world. When it comes to big cities, I would say it's actually my favorite city. New York coming in a close second. But I'll tell you, it's been such a magical experience indeed. Once again, I'm happy to take any questions whatsoever. Yes, this is normal winter weather. I've experienced it before. This is my third time in the UK at this time of year. This is my 9th time in the country overall. I have an obsession with this place, actually, which I suppose makes sense because I'm moving here. But nevertheless, oh, wow, another €6 coming in from Marcel. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Very happy to be doing this work as well. Thank you so much indeed. Yep, everything is looking very good for as far as all the preparations are concerned. Cosmic Girl looking solid, Launcher 1 looking solid. To give you also a preview of what is coming for Virgin Orbit, Virgin Orbit is planning on reusability for the first stage of Launcher 1, in addition to reusing Cosmic Girl, obviously, but also they want to reuse the first stage of Launcher 1. Also, they're going to add a third stage to Launcher 1 powered by ion engines, solar ion or solar electric power. What this will do will allow Virgin Orbit to transport heavier cargoes to higher orbits, but most importantly, to carry out interplanetary missions. And that's the sort of thing that will also happen from right here in Spaceport Cornwall in the future. Stray, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate your support. You guys are absolutely awesome tonight. Thank you so much. We are approximately 20 minutes from wheels up, if that estimate is accurate. And it may be more along the lines of 10 o'clock. We'll see. But nevertheless, we are very, very close. Very, very close to this moment. And we should see Cosmic Girl begin to get into motion here. I'll tell you, my heart is pounding. Exciting stuff developing here in Cornwall tonight. As I said before, first ever orbital mission from Western Europe. First time this has ever happened. First time that satellites built in Europe have been launched from Europe. You would think that would have been done many times before, but it hasn't. This is the first time ever. So obviously we're watching history in the making tonight, and hopefully it's going to be a very positive moment in history. I have a lot of confidence. The nighttime launch. Let me explain the nighttime launch. The reason primarily for this is Cosmic Girl needs to fly into flight paths that are usually utilized by commercial airliners, primarily from Spain and Portugal. So they don't want to interdict those flight paths too much and cause too much disruption to these flights. So as a result, a late night launch is ideal in order to avoid any sort of interference with the flights from Spain and Portugal. So tonight, just to give you an emphasis of how complicated this has been, they aren't just working with the UK and with the CAA and with all the governmental agencies here. In addition to that, they had to get the okay from the European Union, from Spain, from Portugal, and also this is going to be taking place in Irish airspace as well. For those of you in Ireland, by the way, you've got, assuming you have clear skies, you've got a front row seat if you are in Cork County or in that region. You will get a fantastic view of Launcher 1 taking to flight if you just look pretty much due south at the moment of ignition. So that is why the launch is taking place at night. Yes, that's correct. Danger area in place. Obviously, a rocket screaming from 10,000 meters up to orbit could create quite a hazard for any aircraft in the area. So they have to make absolutely certain that everything is out of the way. But this time of night, of course, is the ideal time that it happens. How long between takeoff and launch? Approximately 1 hour to 90 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity, depending on the environmental conditions and depending on the status of the rocket. Before they can drop, they have to get the go-ahead from Mission Control, from Virgin Orbit Mission Control in California. And then once they get the go-ahead, they drop at their discretion. The rocket then ignites and flies from 10,000 meters up into orbit. And once again, more than happy to answer additional questions. We have nearly 1,000 people watching right now. My mind is blown. So many of you. Thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for your support as well. The super chats that have been flooding in. Also, that if you want to hit that join button, become part of my Discord community. That's only $5 a month and great benefits out of that. But self-promotion over. Let's go ahead and get back to Odin. Hello from Ireland. Well, hello. Yes, I did a video about what's going on with the Irish space science and space technology at the National Space Center in Cork County. That was an amazing experience. Most probably I will be here for another 8 or 9 days, something along those lines, before I go back. So yes, I am indeed moving to the United Kingdom in September or so. Once again, please like, guys, please subscribe, and thanks so much to everybody who's been given their support. Time on the screen is takeoff, not launch. The time on the screen is takeoff, and it appears that we have we've updated the takeoff time to be closer to 10 o'clock, which is kind of what I suspected it was going to be at the beginning. We got word that it could happen as early as 9:45, but it appears to have been pushed out a bit. So launching from, if you can do that, you have a superbly weatherproof system. Very true indeed. YouTube takes a big chunk out of Super Chat. PayPal is better. But anyway, you would like to contribute, Goonie, feel free. Thank you so much again for your support. So where's everybody tuning in from? Now that we have nearly 1,000 people watching, again, please like, please subscribe. Let's see how many people. Netherlands, thank you so much for tuning in from Holland. Where else do we have folks watching from? All over, no doubt. Vienna, hello. What else do we have going on? Yes, 10:01, it appears, is what we have right now for the takeoff time. That sounds about right. Guatemala, hello, Chaz. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here. We now officially have 1,000 people watching right now. Unbelievable. Israel, thank you so much for tuning in. Netherlands, Liverpool, Worcester, boy, all over the place. Eastbourne, Cornwall, El Paso, Texas. Oh, boy, Cambridge, Derby, all over the place. Boy, we have people, Calgary. I can't even keep up with it all. My God, Sydney, hello. Barbados, Wales, West Yorkshire, Hamburg, Germany. Devon, hello. Somerset, Devon again. Colorado Springs, my hometown. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hamptonshire, thank you so much. Glastonbury, Somerset, boy, everywhere. Ventura, boy, it's just running by. Julian, thank you so much for the £5. Really do appreciate your support. Thank you so much. It makes such a huge difference to my ability to do things here. Ireland, thank you so much. Derby, UK, thank you. Hungary, Oklahoma, British Columbia, Herefordshire, boy, everywhere. Raleigh, UK, thank you so much. Doncaster, hello, boy, I'll tell you. Ontario, Canada, Yorkshire, crazy. Skylon, by the way, is still under development. Don't give up on Skylon yet. That is, by the way, the UK's orbital space plane that they've been working on forever, and they do indeed seem to still be working on it. Kent, New Zealand, Edinburgh, hello, Cornwall, Somerset, West Palm Beach. This is so historic. It's mad. Yes, indeed, it is. North Wales, hello, USA. Nottingham, thank you so much for tuning in. Heathrow, hello, thank you so much. David Hall, thank you so much for the 2 pounds. It's possible from Wales, albeit unlikely. Look to the southwest at the time of ignition, and that is going to be your best chance indeed. That's an open question as to how far away. People can see Falcon 9s as far as 300, 400 miles away, but this is a smaller rocket, so it may not be quite the same thing. Jonathan, thank you so much for the pound contribution. Really do appreciate that. Belfast, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. East Yorkshire, Cornwall, London, all over the place. Just crazy, crazy, crazy. Thank you so much. Yes, this is indeed an optimistic moment for space flight. I'm just overwhelmed at how exciting all of this is. Thank you so much. We just had an Angry Astronaut membership gifted. Really do appreciate that, and being part of our Angry Advocates plastic mug. Apparently, just got that membership once again posted in the YouTube membership. You're going to be able to have access to our Discord server. It's all posted there with a free invitation. Thank you so much. I think it's FLA, €5. Yes, I will be happy to get myself a pint. And thank you so much for tuning in from Ireland. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much. London, you guys are the best. Really, really do appreciate everybody tuning in. It's amazing stuff going on tonight. And we are so close, guys. We are getting so close to this magical moment when everything changes for private space flight. Everything changes for commercial space flight worldwide at this moment. If things go the way they're supposed to go, this will completely change how this market works and open things up for so many countries throughout Europe. So many companies will have an opportunity to become part of the world of space flight where they didn't have that opportunity before. How much money did this cost? 20 million pounds. That's it. I'll tell you something. We can't sharpen a pencil for 20 million pounds back in the US. So the fact that they managed to accomplish all this to convert Newquay Airport into a functional spaceport, complete with a facility capable of integrating payloads into the fairing of Launcher 1, the fact that they were able to accomplish that on a shoestring budget like that, absolutely amazing. Felix, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate that. And hello back to Bristol, not too far away. And actually, my Airbnb is even closer to Bristol. I've got a bit of a drive ahead of me. Probably 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, something by the time I finally get home. That's all right, though, because these sorts of moments only come once. Yes, I'm sure there are tons of people watching on the Virgin live stream. They're the ones who are better known, no question about that. And that's all right, because I'm very, very grateful that all of you guys are here. Thank you so much. SLS is a big pencil, no question about that. And to give you an idea, SLS cost more than 1,000 times as much, 1,000 times as much as Spaceport Cornwall, to give you a perspective on just how affordably they did this. Hugh, thank you so much for the $5. That's fantastic. Shortle, thank you so much for the $10. Boy, you guys are fantastic. When do you need a pencil? You know what? We would find an excuse to have a pencil if we could spend $20 million to make it. Yes, we're getting very close indeed. 26 minutes to take off. Lots of people watching, over 1,000 people currently tuned in. Obviously, many people watching Virgin Orbit. It doesn't matter. People are tuned in all over the world for this historic moment. The UK now waking up to a future where the people of Britain will be directly involved in space flight, not just in the manufacture of satellites, which has always been a huge thing for Britain. Britain, of course, has always been a massive part of the space industry, but now they'll be a massive part of space flight, and that is a huge change indeed. So let me tell you something. Regardless of what happens tonight, everybody in the UK should feel very proud about what's going to happen tonight. big moment indeed. Driving to the B&B instead of sleeping in Cosmic Girl. You know, if I could sleep in Cosmic Girl, I would. I wouldn't hesitate to do that. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to. Derbyshire, you should look towards the southwest. Your odds are not great, but look towards the southwest. Another fiver, thank you so much from Northlands. Really do appreciate that. Another fiver from Amethyst Arrow. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, and I will indeed have that coffee for the drive back. I'll tell you, it's going to be a long night, but one that I am super excited about. Please like, please subscribe, and thank you so much for all these generous contributions tonight. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Can't believe I've been going this long. Well, Colin, I'm running on lots of adrenaline. Here we go, guys. We are getting very close. We are getting very close to Cosmic Girl beginning its Space Nut. Smithy, thank you so much for the fiver. Thank you so much for your generous contribution. Rodney, thank you so much for the $20. New Zealand, boy, a lot of people watching from all over the world. The camera is set up not only on the plane itself, but also on a chaser aircraft that will be following, but it will be set up. They actually have cameras both on the aircraft and on the rocket itself. So you'll be able to see the rocket take flight into orbit. Vienna, Northeast, yeah, I would say not the best options from Vienna. Once again, your best chance is if you're on the southwest coast of the UK, or if you are on the south coast of Ireland, in Cork County or somewhere in that vicinity. Thank you so much for the tenor. Really do appreciate that. Go Country, fantastic. Again, thanks so much for this generous support. You guys are blowing my mind tonight. And once again, all of this goes towards my ability to continue bringing you these events as they happen, not only in Europe, but also Starship, Boca Chica. That's coming real soon, and I will be there. I have a front row seat, Rocket Ranch, 5.5 kilometers away. I am both excited and terrified about that. And also the first launch of Vulcan Centaur. A lot of big missions coming up in 2023, and I will definitely be there for all of them. And once again, it's your support that makes all of this possible. Thank you so much indeed. And once again, another big shout out to Matt tonight for making all of this happen, to provide very good quality camera work, to enduring the worst imaginable weather, getting hammered by rain, hail, sleet, etc., keeping everything functional, unreal. And also to my producer, another space nut in Yorkshire. Yes, everybody helping me tonight is British, just as this mission is a collaboration between the UK and America. This broadcast is also a collaboration between the UK and America. Thank you so much. And also Goonie Hill, anybody familiar with the Goonhilly Earth Station? Amazing stuff happening there. They will be tracking this launch with a variety of different antennas. This will also be tracked from Ireland. Thank you, Bearded Badger, for £4.50. Really do appreciate that. Imagine a fleet of these planes. Yes. The answer to your question is yes. Cosmic Girl is the first. They intend to have 4 planes within the next 12 to 24 months, with unconfirmed, but one 747 dedicated for European use here in Cornwall. So a dedicated Virgin Orbit 747 flying out of Cornwall. That is what they're working towards. And also, by the way, manufacturing of Launcher 1 of new rockets here in the UK as well. Those are all things on the horizon, something we are really hoping will happen in the near future, but things that I've been discussing at length with a variety of different representatives from Virgin Orbit and Spaceport Cornwall. Paul, thank you so much for the tenor. Really do appreciate that. 92% of those viewing say that they are proud of UK spaceflight, and so you should be.
question from the cameraman.
Question from the cameraman.
Do we know about the planned astronaut training facility from Cornwall with the deep blue pool?
The deep blue is something I'm trying to get more information about. But yes, indeed, there is a private company that's attempting to get an astronaut training facility going called Deep Blue. So yes, I've been looking into that. They were unable to give me an interview last year, but talked to me about giving me an interview maybe before I leave this time. So definitely working on that right now. Gunnar, thank you so much for your generous support. Clint, thank you so much for the tenor. Really do appreciate that. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Keeping this channel going. Over 1,100 people watching this broadcast. You guys are simply amazing. Thank you so much. Michael, $20. Thank you so much. Ellie, is Ellie in the house? We got Ellie here right now. That'd be fantastic if Ellie is indeed here. Welcome. And also Ellie in Space. Make sure that you subscribe to Ellie in Space. Fantastic channel. I do cooperative podcasts with her on a regular basis. Wonderful lady, wonderful channel. Stephen, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, I am proud, but it's all because of you guys. Let me tell you. Ellie, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. I would love to co-host a live stream in Europe. Come on over. I'm ready to do it tomorrow if you want to come over. No problem at all. Really do appreciate that. Once again, the donations here, they all contribute towards the success of this channel and my ability to bring you these broadcasts from across Europe and also in the US. And also I have ambitions for Japan and India in the future, where there's lots of space flight going on indeed. Looks like we have some distortion on my voice a bit. I'll try to keep that in mind in terms of I have to tell you, my voice is getting a bit rough right now. We are still eagerly awaiting the moment when Cosmic Girl is going to fire up its engines and get ready to trundle away. Tim, yes, Tim has a writer over here in the UK, great guy who contributes some amazing things to his channel. He's been following a lot of this very closely, but unfortunately he doesn't work as a YouTuber full time, so he wasn't able to be here tonight, but he does really good work indeed. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate that, Dan Stone Lake, for being an angry advocate. Once again, please check the postings on the membership site with YouTube, so you can get your invitation to my Discord channel. More than happy to do it. Yes, Scott Manley, he wrote on Cosmic Girl. That's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. But still, where is Scott? He needs to come on over here. I know California is a great place, Scott, but I think you need to come home and do some coverage of this as well. I would love to meet you, by the way. I think that would be a fantastic thing. Indeed. So, and by the way, Scott Manley's got one of the best channels there are, period, of any kind, not just spaceflight. Definitely a good source of information. Paul, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate that. Donations flooding in. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Once again, this is The Angry Astronaut. For those of you unfamiliar, I am a spaceflight YouTuber and also a journalist, accredited journalist here. And I've been part of a lot of things happening here in Europe, but I have been waiting for a long time for this moment to happen when the UK becomes part of the spaceflight community. I just can't wait for that to happen. So crazy stuff coming very, very soon. So in any event, time is counting down indeed. Yeah, I no doubt I am ecstatic. This is a moment to be very excited about. If you want me to get angry about something, though, let me get angry about, apparently, ostensibly, we have, or so I've heard, we have people protesting this launch right now for environmental reasons, because of the theoretical damage that this rocket is going to do to the environment with greenhouse gases, etc. Once again, I need to emphasize the total spaceflight activity on this planet represents a fraction of 1% of what commercial aviation does in terms of greenhouse gases. Even if we launched 1,000 times as many rockets as we do right now, and I'm not kidding, 1,000 times as many, it would still be a fraction as much as the entire commercial aviation industry. It's insignificant compared to the enormous benefit that it brings to the world. Woody, thank you so much for the €5. Really do appreciate it. And yes, I will keep this coverage coming. Dermot, thank you so much for the tenor. Really do appreciate that. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, yes, there are indeed, at least I hear, there are protesters who are saying that that Cornwall shouldn't have spent 10 million pounds getting this place going, that somehow, you know, the jobs here aren't as valuable as other kinds of jobs, more environmentally friendly jobs, whatever they want to say. But I'll tell you, when you want to talk about environmentally friendly, Kernow-Sat, the first Cornish produced satellite, is going to be launched on the next Virgin Orbit mission this year, if all goes correctly. And that is a reconnaissance satellite that tracks the status of the coastlines and the state of the ocean in order to find an ideal place to make a kelp forest for carbon sequestration. In other words, we're talking about a solution that can take far more carbon out of the atmosphere than the launch could possibly produce. These are things that these protesters don't either seem to know about or they don't seem to talk about. And it seems like all they want is just the attention that this event is going to bring them. But they're just barking up the wrong tree and wasting their time. Simple as that. And for those of you interested, I released a video about the subject that you can find on my channel. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is look up Angry Astronaut Environmentalists, and it will come up and you'll hear my explanation of just what all of this means. All right. Well, once again, boy, over 1,200 people watching. 1,200. Mind blowing. We are getting close, guys. We are getting super close. Once again, it may not seem like Cosmic Girl is going to be in a position to be wheels up in 13 minutes, but I assure you they can do it. Again, when I was in Mojave covering the tubular bells, engines are powering up. Engines are powering up on Cosmic Girl right now.
Let's zoom in.
Yes, we're going to zoom in right now. I will continue my commentary. Engines are firing up on Cosmic Girl. We are minutes away from the biggest moment in European spaceflight history. Thank you so much, Three Head. Really do appreciate the €5. Thank you so much, everybody, for your ongoing contribution. Please like, please subscribe. My heart's pounding, guys. The moment's coming. Engines are powering up right now. They are using, to answer your question, they're using kerosene and liquid oxygen. The kerosene, however, is only 6 metric tons. Compare that to the amount of kerosene that you have in a Falcon 9, and you'll see how little this contributes to any sort of problems with the environment. And by the way, I'm not saying Falcon 9s are a problem either. They're not. All of the rockets in the world put together comprise a fraction of 1% of what the commercial aviation industry does. Thank you so much, Jack. Really do appreciate the $10. Thank you so much for your support. Heart is seriously pounding here, guys. We are minutes away. Once again, these things happen very, very fast. And by the way, we're not going to see any spectacular flyovers, probably. We're not going to see anything, fancy in that regard. Instead, what we're going to see is a very business-like takeoff. Thank you, SpaceX. My God, thank you so much for your generous support. Overwhelming. What a huge contribution that was. Really, really appreciated. Over 1,300 people watching. So, yeah, it's going to be very business-like And the reason for that is they need to keep that rocket slung underneath the wing as short of a time as possible. The most significant amount of vibration issues that this rocket suffers happens during this short flight from Cosmic Girl. So they want to keep it as short as possible. Project not finished. Thank you so much for the $20, New Zealand. Oh my God, I would love to see a rocket lab launch, by the way. 1,317 people watching, and my mind is exploding. Unreal. We have so many people tuning in right now. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And yeah, Cosmic Girl getting ready to start taxiing down the runway. We are minutes away, guys. Minutes away. 1,370 people watching. Please like, please subscribe. Minutes away from the beginning of the most momentous and important event in European space flight. I don't even know how to describe my emotions right now. Now, over 1,400 people tuned in. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being part of the audience. Thank you so much for your support. Cosmic Girl will be taxiing very shortly. Thank you so much, Ryan, for the $5. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, we do have fantastic looking coverage, and that's because of our awesome cameraman, Matt, who is here tonight. Once again, Matt, who are we supporting?
WestwardShippingNews.com.
WestwardShippingNews.com. Please remember that.
Live webcast.
It's a live webcam from Plymouth, so you can keep up with what's happening. Oh my God, we just had Matthew gift 5 Angry Astronaut memberships. You got a membership. You got a membership. You got a membership. I'm feeling like Oprah right now. Thanks so much. And then $14. Thank you so much. Once again, my eyes are getting kind of grim right now. I think it's Pecos bill, perhaps. Check to see into the AM sponsor you. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate your support indeed. Oh, wow. Awesome stuff coming. And by the way, if you have anything you would like to communicate to me directly, DM me on Twitter tonight. I would be very happy indeed. We are closing in on 1,500 people watching this stream. My God, amazing stuff. Yes, many, many, many people watching Virgin Live. That's okay, because that's very good coverage as well. And it gives us an impression of just how many people are tuning into this. Super important, guys. Super important indeed. 7 minutes approximately. Can we have the name of Maddie's organization one more time? Your organization.
WestwardShippingNews.com.
WestwardShippingNews.com from Plymouth. Make sure to check into that, guys, before you go to bed tonight. Joe, thank you so much for the $20. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Really do appreciate that. Cosmic Girl is minutes away from beginning its taxiing process. And by the way, all of this takes very little time. And Cosmic Girl is not going to be doing any crazy flyovers or anything fancy to show off for the spectators, at least probably not, because they need to get that rocket out from underneath its wing as rapidly as possible. Graham, thank you so much for the 18 quid. Really do appreciate your generosity. Thank you so much for that. You guys are amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for all of that. God, I'm excited. We are so close. €5. Thank you so much for, I think it's Merlinotinous. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Over 1,500 people watching this stream. This is crazy. This is actually more than I had for the SN-15 launch of Starship at Boca Chica. You guys are killing it tonight. You definitely are interested in what's going on. You guys definitely seem to understand the importance of this mission, and it makes me crazy excited. Thank you so much. Petzer, thank you so much for the tenor. Thank you. Really do appreciate that. Dawkins, thank you so much for the 5.5 quid. $10 coming from Jack. Thank you so much. Graham for the $5. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your generous support. This is mind-blowing. tell you what a huge amount of support we are getting tonight from my incredible viewers. You guys are astonishing. Here we go. Here we go. Cosmic Girls maneuvering lights and takeoff lights are now active. And she is beginning to taxi. Cosmic Girl is beginning to taxi. Takeoff lights on. I am crazy excited about this, guys. I wasn't entirely certain about how things were going to proceed tonight, given the state of the weather and other conditions, but I'll tell you, it looks like we are going forward, and going forward in a big way, minutes away from wheels up. Thank you so much for over 1,600 people watching at this point. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Here we go, Cosmic Girl. And once again, once the takeoff is complete, you will be watching. We will be transferring over to Virgin Orbit's live stream. Although my, yes, a bit this way, sure. Of course, no problem at all. We have lots of people up here on the platform now, young people included, who are excited about being a part of this, and so glad to have them here tonight. Such a huge moment for people around Great Britain, and always happy to see young people who are part of the future of spaceflight in this country participating as well. I'm going to step over to this corner actually to watch Cosmic Girl taxi. Thank you again for watching. Over 1,600 people watching this broadcast right now. Huge moment as Cosmic Girl is taxiing down the runway and preparing to take flight. It will be approximately an hour after launch, maybe as long as 90 minutes, depending on environmental conditions, weather conditions, etc., that you're going to have at 10,000 meters before you can drop. They have to get approval across the board from mission control before they can push forward. So I'll tell you, you guys are amazing indeed, making all of this happen. We are getting so close right now. Cosmic Girl is disappearing behind a hangar here. Yes.
Do you want to come and stay over here so we can get a view when it comes past?
Certainly.
That's it.
Maneuvering to a different location because, of course, Cosmic Girl maneuvering to the far end of the runway, and then they will be taking off. And that should be a spectacular moment indeed. Thank you so much for over 1,800 people tuned in. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Once again, this is more participation. Oh, thank you, Ultimate Shine Card Detailing, for the £4.50. Really do appreciate your support. Okay, Cosmic Girl is taxiing down to the end of the runway right now, and they are perhaps a minute and a half away from wheels up, going right on schedule. And this is not surprising at all. This is not in the least bit surprising. I'll tell you, what a moment. What a moment that we got coming up right now. Here we go. All right, taxiing to the end of the runway, and then we are, what you're looking at, we don't have a proper angle to see the plane at the moment, but it's going to come roaring back down the runway here very shortly. And when it comes roaring back down the runway, we will see it take off. So yeah, big moment indeed coming. Once again, we are transferring over also to the Virgin Orbit live stream in order to track everything going on with there. We're going to be here with you to the end. Fred, thank you so much for the €5. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. And the coverage will, of course, continue. We are seconds away from Cosmic Girl being wheels up and winging its way south and west to off the southern shores, off the shores of Cork County, Ireland, where the rocket will be dropped and make its way to orbit. Super stuff. I'll tell you, very exciting. Almost 2,000 people watching. Wow. Yes. Exciting stuff coming. Exciting stuff coming. And it's awesome. I'll tell you, the number of people we have up here on this platform is mind-blowing. So many young people here joining us for this historic moment. Very soon, Cosmic Girl will come. Thank you so much for the $5, Becky. Really do appreciate your support. Thank you so much, Leo, for your generous support. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much indeed. Cosmic Girl getting ready to roar down the runway and take flight here in just a moment. Moments away, guys, and then we will be looking at approximately an hour before we will have before Cosmic Girl will be prepared to drop its rocket. All right, we're waiting right now. I'm watching. Here we go. Engines powering up. Here we go. Here we go. Cosmic Girl getting ready to take flight at this moment. Go, 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 baby. Go! Yeah! Woo! And there she goes. Woo! All right, so as I suspected before, Cosmic Girl making a very businesslike takeoff. So we'll be transferring over to the Virgin Orbit stream so that you can track what's happening with the flight now that it has taken place. You might expect the Virgin Orbit would do some kind of spectacular flyover or something like that, but that's not what's going to happen because it is very important that this rocket be dropped as rapidly as possible. The vibration issues that you experience, that Launcher One goes through during that brief period of time that the rocket is slung underneath the wing, is the most significant stress that the rocket experiences, period. So that being the case, you've got to be ready to drop the rocket as rapidly as possible, which is what they're doing right now. From my vantage point, I can still see Cosmic Girl winging its way out off of the Cornish coastline and making its way towards the ocean and climbing very steadily, by the way. Very exciting indeed. Thank you so much. Step away from the red button. Yeah, don't hit the red button. So we have nearly 2,000 people watching. Thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Really do appreciate the enormous amount of generosity we've had flooding in. And let me tell you something. This has only just begun. This has only just begun, guys. We now, the tough part starts. The tense part begins. Now we're going to be dealing with the moments that pass between this moment and when the rocket is deployed. I am going to be discontinuing my commentary momentarily, and then I will go ahead and rejoin you when we are a little closer to the moment when we are going to be when Virgin Orbit will be dropping Launcher One.
Shall we try and get an interview with Blue Peter?
That might be a good idea. Yeah. We're going to see whether or not we can get an interview real quick before. I'm sorry, Blue Peter. Is that right? I didn't realize that's who they are. Yes, yes, yes. No, I'm familiar with Blue Peter. I just didn't know that's who that was.
That's what I think it is, yes.
Okay. Go for it. Okay, thank you. you're familiar with the launch process, so I'm just wondering what's the clearance the aircraft before the rocket engine starts up?
Usually a drop of just a couple hundred meters, and then it ignites. Not very far. Yeah, it doesn't drop all that far. Excuse me, you guys are Blue Peter.
Yes.
May I speak to these young people?
What's it for?
It would be for my channel, The Angry Astronaut.
Angry astronaut.
Yes. Don't worry, we're a perfectly fine YouTube channel.
I'll have to double check that, I'm afraid. Just
Yeah,
because we've
please
got
do.
Bethany who's younger. We just
Of
have to
course,
check policies.
I quite
Is that
understand.
okay?
Wouldn't be the first time I've had children on the channel, so
Okay,
by all
good.
means, by all means.
Yeah, I just need to double check
Sure.
it with back a base.
Sure,
If that's all
by all
right, and
means.
then, I'll
Hope
let
to
you
see
know.
you again soon.
Oh, thanks for asking.
No, no problem at all. Glad to see you here.
Are we still live?
No, we'll go ahead and drop off at this point.
Okay.
Driven in colors I never dreamed. Oh yeah. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out.
Before I was born, but that will be transmitting to multiple ground stations that are across the globe as we fly our trajectory to orbit. We will show some graphics a little later in the program that show the trajectory of the rocket today, as well as the ground stations that will be tracking her as she works her way to release the payloads.
Higher, higher. Every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher, higher. Oh. Magic. No, I'm never letting go. Now that I have it with you. When you kiss me, it's like the stars fall out the sky onto my heart to cover up what I don't wanna show. I let you in deeper than I let anyone else before. Fell in love with my broken pieces, took them all and made them yours. Didn't know what my heartbeat needed, skipping out, no I can't keep score. When I lose my breath, boy, you got me breathing. Oh, every little thing you do, every time you hold me, take me higher.
So informative as well. I'm absolutely buzzing. That was huge, and now we can't wait for rocket launch. I'm now joined in the studio by a good friend, Steve Isley, who is Vice President of Business Development from Virgin Orbit. Hi.
Hey, Mel. Yeah, I mean, what an exciting day. And I'm really pleased to introduce the Secretary of State, Grant Shapps, who's in charge of the Department for Business, Energy, and Industrial Strategy, leading an economy-wide transformation by backing enterprise and unleashing the UK as a science superpower through innovation. Grant, thank you so much for being with us here on this historic day. You've really been instrumental in helping bring launch to the UK and supporting the industry. You probably know this is actually the first, of course, historic launch from UK soil and also historic launch from Western Europe. Tell our viewers, what does this day mean for the UK?
Yeah, no, we're very excited about the launch. I mean, this is something which we've been working on for more than a decade now. As you rightly say, the UK tonight will become the first country to launch satellites from European soil, and that's been a long process involving a lot of folks, not just at Virgin, but throughout our space sector, which employs about 47,000 people. It's much bigger than most people realise. And the other thing people possibly don't know is that more satellites are produced in the UK anywhere outside of California. So we're big into producing particularly the smaller and the nano satellites, the type that Virgin Orbit put into space. And so to see these 9 go up finally this evening, it's extremely exciting, and we're delighted to have backed this launch. And Cornwall could be one of 7 spaceports springing up throughout the UK. So we were excited to see this one and others developing.
And you mentioned some of the industry here in the UK. So how do you think this and future launches will really help propel the space ecosystem in the UK, including jobs? And what makes the UK such a great destination for launch and for space?
Been set.
Yeah, I mean, for a start, I think anything like a space launch just puts it front and center of people's minds. I was just watching the top of the 10 o'clock news here on the BBC, and I see they were giving this a mention and saying that the satellites are being launched right now. It brings people's attention to it. So if you're a youngster and you're watching this tonight or you're catching up on it tomorrow, you'll be understanding that space launches are something that happen from the UK. I think that's incredibly important. It brings more people into the business. You asked the sensible question of why the UK. Well, it happens that particularly for the type of satellites which are increasingly getting launched, a lot of these smaller satellites, they've gone from about 1% of the market to 11%. And we think that over the next decade or so, there'll be huge opportunities, probably about £15 billion worth of launches of these smaller satellites. The UK happens to have the right location, in other words, geographically. We've got the right science with, 7 of the world's top 20 universities, and we've got the right industry combined with government to help all of those things stack up and ensure these launches can happen. And I know that from personal experience, because both in my current job as business secretary, but also my previous job as the transport secretary, I've tracked and worked on this launch. I've been down to Newquay in Cornwall. I actually brought over the rocket for the G7 last year to Cornwall. So we've had a lot of, to get these things going, you have to have a lot of different elements come together: regulatory, scientific, industry, government, all working in tandem. And that's the thing the UK's got going for it.
And we know that you have a strong love for science, and part of your platform is making Britain really a science superpower. How do you see space launch and this ecosystem developing in Cornwall contributing to that?
Well, look, it's hugely important to that. I was just looking across the kind of list of, the payload tonight. There are a whole variety of different satellites. So you've got Amber 1, that's a satellite that's built in Glasgow. You've got Prometheus 2, that's a satellite built in Hampshire. You've got Space Forge satellite that's built in Cardiff. So you see, as I go around the country here, every part of the country, every part of the United Kingdom has got a link to what's going on in Cornwall tonight. And that's incredibly, incredibly important and exciting. But as I mentioned before, not to take anything away from Virgin Orbit, because you guys have got there first with this unique launch system that has so many benefits. But we have a number of vertical spaceports being built and being planned, so 7 in total. And I'm expecting to see vertical launch from Scotland, for example, possibly later this year or next year. So this is an exciting time. It's worth a lot of jobs, not just in Cornwall there, perhaps 250 or so, but actually across the country, in the thousands, in the tens of thousands, and making the UK a great place to do space.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the payloads on this mission, and there's some firsts. I mean, there's the first Welsh satellite, the first Omani satellite. So there's a real also international flavor in space. How important is it, one, for the UK to have its own launch and end-to-end sustainable space-based capability vis-a-vis other spacefaring nations, so as a nation leading in the space realm, and two, really international partnerships. I mean, I know that this is important for UK, you mentioned the other launchers, but clearly space is an international cooperative industry, and so working across country lines is equally important.
That is absolutely true. And just in the autumn, we signed a deal essentially with the European Space Agency. We put in, I think the figure springs to mind is over £1.8 billion. We secured 3 more British astronauts. So we're working in the international sphere, so in Europe, but also with NASA and a whole variety, and have historically done so. Kind of interestingly, though, you ask a really interesting question, because the UK is the only country in the world to more than 50 years ago have designed, built and launched its own rockets and satellites successfully into space, and then scrapped the entire launch program. Now, this was back in 1971. It's a long time ago now. It was kind of a surprising thing to do, given many other countries or other locations continued or have got into the space race since then. I think the big thing that's changed is the commercialization of space ever since, though, because I was just looking back. You only have to go back to 2019, and there are only about 500 satellites launched globally. But in 2021, so just a couple of years later, there were 1,900 satellites launched. So you can see this is a massively growing market, particularly these smaller nano satellites, some of which are no bigger than a shoebox, that the United Kingdom really has great speciality in, as well as some of the bigger ones, which we've always hear. So there's a big market, and we want to work globally. We want to do that, but we also think that we can grab probably as much as 30% of the launch market on these smaller satellites, which is something we're very keen to do.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, the UK has all the pieces to the puzzle. You've got all the satellite manufacturers, you've got incredible universities, you have the logistics, and now you have the launch capability. So really, you have this end-to-end sustainable space applications mission capability that is unrivaled practically for the small satellite market in particular, and definitely joining the other few nations that actually have their own launch capabilities. So I think really that we're pleased to be your partner on this journey and help make that a reality. Maybe shift.
Well, thanks very much. It's great to hear you say that, because folks won't know, but we generate about £16.5 billion from space income each year in this country, and it's only set to grow. And we're going to work internationally to make that happen. And having this launch capability from British soil clearly puts us front and center of that.
Absolutely. And finally, I think some people know that you're a pilot yourself. So as you know, captive carry is happening. Our pilots are going on this journey, going forward. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience as a pilot. Just what's going through your mind? Like, what is your mental state right now, and how exciting is this for the people that are really on the front lines here of this launch?
Well, I offered Virgin Orbit the opportunity to use me as the pilot, and I'm just kidding. I think everyone who flies, everyone with a pilot's license knows that the thing that you're always doing before a flight is you going through the pre-flight checks in your mind, and then after that you go through the whole sequence of thinking through the flight. I visualize the flights that I take in advance, and I know that the captain will be doing exactly that. Incredibly experienced RAF pilot flying the aircraft this evening. He will have run through this, has done it, of course, in reality as well. So it's not just a sort of in principle thing. And that visualization, I always find as a pilot, really helps the process of flying. And of course, on a mission as important as this, I know that is the work that will have been going on in advance.
Yeah, and we're of course rooting for our pilots, we're rooting for our engineers, we're rooting for our team. I know the country is behind this mission. We're excited to be here in the UK. Grant, in the few seconds we have left, is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers maybe about this mission or about some other insights, some parting words, if you will?
Well, look, when I came down to Newquay, and we brought over the rocket last year, actually it was a replica of the rocket last year, some people said to me at the time, this is all fine, but actually, is this just a static display? Is it really going to happen? Is it really going to happen from the UK? And, you know, collectively, and you guys in particular have proved that the answer is definitively yes. The aircraft's in the sky, I think in, in 48 minutes or so, we're looking for the drop. So, you know, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. And it's now thousands of people who've been involved in getting this mission up and running. There were any number of things which could have stopped it. And the first time you do something, particularly from somewhere new, you know, there are lots of regulatory barriers to overcome. I actually want to express my thanks to my Irish counterpart, who I spoke to and helped clear the airspace, to the Portuguese, and many others who've been involved in this evening. But look, I think this is amazingly exciting time. We're all eyes glued to the drop and the launch of these satellites, and well done to you folks for making this happen. And tonight, all eyes are on the United Kingdom launching these satellites.
All right, Secretary of State Grant Shapps, thank you so much again for your continued support. Thank you for your leadership, and we look forward to continuing the partnership.
Thank you.
Started as a whisper, message from a new world I'd never known. Something about it felt like it'd been waiting my whole life. Is this home? I can hear each sound calling my name, and I feel angels around when I start to sing inside.
It's not my fault, you know I had to walk away. It's been 5 years and not one of us has changed. We say we're trying, but we just stay the same. And the truth is, I think we're better off. Me, myself, and I, at least give it a try. Sometimes we're just ourselves and not with someone else. Me, myself, and I, at least give it a try. Sometimes we're just ourselves and not with someone else. Cigarette ash, it looks like snow. When it falls in the wind, you know. And you, oh, you say you wanna dance. You're wary, you know, you'll end up in the wrong hands. And you're having fun. Why don't you show your friends? And you're having fun. What if it never ends?
During the climb, the aircraft right now is at, I believe, just over 30,000 feet, which is nominal. And during the climb, we were moving through the clouds in a storm cell. One thing we like to do during our captive carry is actually do a little fin wiggle to make sure that if there is any icing that occurs on the rocket during captive carry, we're able to break that away. We detected no icing during the captive carry up to this point, but we did that little execution anyway, and that all worked nominal. We are tracking nominally, I keep saying nominal, which is a good thing. We are tracking nominally on our flight path out towards the racetrack right now. We'll be back in a moment.
Getting introduced to Virgin Orbit, 2018, announcing the partnership with them, but still not really committed to anything. Just said to the government, "Hey, well, we've got an operator," and then Cornwall Council sort of backed it with an ambitious investment, and that was the first time really we'd sort of put any money in the game. And even then, it was always a case of like developing what we've already got here. So if this thing that we honestly didn't know too much about at the beginning, if it turned out to be too good to be true, or Virgin hadn't even tested their technology. They hadn't, don't forget, they hadn't done their launch demonstration. So if that hadn't worked, then their fallback was always like, well, we've got an enhanced airport. So that was always, I guess we were always just trying to we were excited and we wanted to believe, but we were trying to be realistic.
Sure.
Like, how does this small team in Cornwall and this small regional airport in Cornwall Airport Newquay, but everyone just stepped up, like all the air traffic control people, the security guys, 2,500 people on site tonight, like all of the stuff that they had to do. So really, up until the point where Cosmic Girl took off, we still had that feeling of like not allowing yourself to get carried away.
Sure.
I wouldn't have been surprised if like suddenly all the lights on Cosmic Girl turned off. They told us it was a big joke.
Or at least they had to scrub for some reason.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we all come back again and do it Friday. But no, it was just so good to see it. And I'm, obviously we've got we've got Virgin, we've got all the customers, all the people that have been so loyal and supported us. So we had to have a VIP area to really show the value to them. But I made sure that I wasn't in that. Like when Cosmic Girl took off, I wanted to be on the apron, on the concrete, with all the local people on their directors' chairs, with drinking cans out there, cool boxes, and pointing their cameras and taking selfies and applauding and whooping and following the live stream and just being super, because that's what it's about, And I think that's why it's special here in Cornwall, because this has really been a project which everyone has supported. Like, obviously the councils have put the money in and Virgin have put the technology and the customers have done all this, but it wouldn't have succeeded without the support, the loyalty of the people. Because otherwise, the council, they would have got too scared. I think if people was like, this is not something we want. But I think the fact that the Cornwall population were like, no, over 100 years ago, this was somewhere that had amazing industry, amazing careers, and they want now times back. And so it's just so nice to have played a small part in helping to deliver that for them. And a load of there's 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds up here today, staying up late, pitch black. So emotional. So Mel and the guys as well, having all their families here, and it's just such a good night.
So would you say everybody stepping up is how you guys managed to convert this place to a spaceport for 20 million pounds?
Yeah.
And as I said to my viewers a number of times tonight, we Americans can't sharpen a pencil for 20 million pounds. So is that it? Just the contribution of a lot of people who want to make this happen?
Well, I think it's that culture, bootstrapping it. It's like we didn't have the luxury of chucking loads of money. We would have, probably seen we created some architects on our behalf, created all these
drawings of all these hangars we were going to build, and pictures of spacecraft circling, and when the reality of like what the investment actually was going to be by the government, a sensible investment, then it did enable us to sort of like just make sort of sensible influence here and there. And really, G7 was like the real start of like, right, we've got a lot of wide body aircraft which we don't operate here, but we've got Air Force One coming in, the Canadian Prime Minister coming in, the Japanese Prime, they're all arriving on 747s, and we've been thinking we don't have to worry about that for another year. So that program forward a lot, and I think shone a light on Cornwall, showed we could be world leading again. And that was a real like shot in the arm, and we've never looked back.
Yeah, I know what the emotions felt like for me, that's for sure tonight. So I can begin to imagine a little bit of how it felt for you. A 2-year process for me when I first got introduced to Mel, and first introduced her on my interviewed her rather on my channel to now. It seems like quite a journey. So I can only imagine what it's like for you. The last question is, can you confirm or deny? A report was just sent to Link saying that the British government has committed to 2 launches from Spaceport Cornwall per year until 2030. Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard that. No, I know that they were talking about the second sometime in the spring. And of course, that's when we've got our Koenigsegg satellite. So that's why I'm keeping a real interest in that, because a lot of the partners that are here tonight are working with us on that.
Right.
But that was always the idea. It was to start off slowly. And if we've got an anchor tenant like the UK government to give us 2 launches a year, then we can really build upon that. And I think not just us, but we've always been keen to show how much we want to play with the other spaceports in Scotland. And the other operators, vertical launch operators that can't come here.
Sure.
But I would hope that those guys watching the live stream today up in Sutherland and Shetland realise that we're thinking of them as much as I'm sure they're thinking of us. And this is a big UK-wide effort. And we're not like waving our flag thinking Cornwall's won any race. This is not like that. This is us all working together. And we wouldn't have succeeded without their support and expertise as well. So
my conversations with Frank Strang when I was spent my time up in Saxonford and Shetland, he was very, very supportive of what you guys are setting out to do. So thank you so much for your time this evening. I am waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen when that rocket drops, as I'm sure you are. So all the best and congratulations.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Jordan. Perfect.
Take care.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right, guys. So here we are. And once again, thanks so much to Spaceport Cornwall for everything that they have contributed. Really happy that we got the opportunity to get an interview with Ross, who I got an opportunity to know over the time that I've spent here. Getting as much liquid support as I possibly can. Looks like we had a nice super chat come in during that time. Thank you so much. So we are getting very close indeed. I would say most probably somewhere in the vicinity of 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a bit more, depending on where they, how the environment is, the atmosphere, the weather, that sort of thing, and the state of the rocket. But once again, to emphasize it is important that Virgin Orbit launches this rocket as rapidly as possible. Cosmic Girl, the Launcher 1 is mounted underneath Cosmic Girl, and during that time, it is subjected to the worst vibrations that the rocket goes through, the worst stress that it experiences from the time that it's assembled. So they want to minimize the amount of time that the rocket experiences that stress. So in any event, also later on, when I release a summary of this mission, hopefully tomorrow, depending on how much of a zombie I am by then, I'll be able to give you more details on what future plans are from Cornwall and whether or not there is indeed going to be 2 launches per year. Why do they fly around for a full hour? It takes for them, first of all, to get into position, and then they have to essentially go through a go for launch poll from their mission control on Launcher 1 as they check the systems on the rocket. So essentially, there's 2 separate go for launch processes. First, of all, when they're preparing to take off with Cosmic Girl, and secondly, when they drop the rocket. So this is different than your traditional launch in many respects. And it's also important to know that they don't do a static fire on this rocket. There is no static fire on this rocket when they prior to launch. All they have is a wet rehearsal. So they really need to be absolutely certain that things are looking very good on the rocket before they're going to risk a launch. All right, what else do we have? I'm saying that there are 9 CubeSats on board. Correct. 9 CubeSats on board this rocket from 7 different customers. There are a couple of customers that have multiple CubeSats on board. How long do we have? Well, we're looking at, I would say, between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. It looks like maybe in the range of more like 20 minutes. I can't say precisely because mission control has to do essentially go for launch hold on the rocket just as they would for a vertical launch before they can move in this direction when it happens. But once again, we can't say that for certain. So the weather conditions don't look all that horrible, and it is possible that we'll see it. Once again, we can't say for certain. So approximately 20 minutes, something along those lines. Oh dear. Looks like we're running into stuff that's going on with invaders, so hopefully we can deal with that. I'm glad you think so, Simon. I endeavored the most accurate stuff that I provide in reports that there are going to be 2 supported launches from Spaceport Wall minimum per year until 2030. So this is the start of a very long process here. And then, of course, in support of much more ambitious things going on there, 30 launches per year, 30 launches per year. So they are indeed above the weather, Josh. They fly at 10,000 meters. So it's above most weather problems that might exist. So it shouldn't be much of an issue as far as that's concerned. It's great broadcast when the robots are. Yeah, I would tend to agree with it. So yeah, it is interesting, Jason. I mean, it does make sense to do things this way. I would like to see more vertical launch technology going on right now, but we don't have as much of it. Virgin Orbit does indeed seem to be kind of leading the way on this particular type of technology. Of course, not only with Virgin Orbit, but also Virgin Galactic and Spaceship One. Also in the future, Spaceship Two, which is designed to make suborbital flights from one location to another, like LA to London, for example. So I would say generally, Josh, that's true. The weather would not be an issue except for your ability to see it. You can see how overcast it is in Cork County in Ireland, Southern Ireland. You may be able to see it if you looking due south, and then you have to be looking more southwest. I would say more west than south if you are in Cornwall or other areas of the southwest United Kingdom. So in any event, let me go ahead and see if I can get, I'm going to go ahead and try to pull up a direction for us real quick as to where we can expect to see this launch from. Bear with me. Yeah, we're looking at pretty much down that way. So it's possible we may even be able to catch it on camera. On about that direction, roughly about like that. So, and I'm seeing a great deal of skies that may interfere with it. So who knows? We may be able to see this thing flare up. I have seen a Falcon 9 launch at a distance of 50 kilometers, and that was beyond spectacular. Quite an experience, obviously, as a Falcon 9 at 50 kilometers, but still saw it. And it really lit up the sky. So Plastic Mug, they are thinking about that actually. Rocket under each wing, because the 747 does theoretically have the payload capability to carry that. I would say that would be another level of sophistication that they would have to reach in order to be able to do that. But it may indeed be possible. Looks like we definitely have the bots appearing now, which again shows that we have a successful stream. Once again, guys, please like, please subscribe, and thanks so much to everybody who has been contributing tonight. It's been a huge amount of support that we've been receiving from our viewers this evening. That's the whole reason that this broadcast is happening. Simply would not happen, simply would not be possible without your support. And this is only the beginning, by the way, guys. I'll be covering lots of launches here in Europe. Plus, I'll also be covering Boca Chica. I'll be covering Cape Canaveral and the first launch of Vulcan Centaur. Obviously, the first stack launch of Starship. I will be included in a group of YouTubers that are going to be at Rocket Ranch at a distance of only 5.5 kilometers from the launch site. A bit terrifying, to say the least, but nevertheless, I will be around there as well. So they did. Now, once again, they were unloaded shuttles. You need to keep in mind that they did carry shuttles. They didn't have any fuel on them. A fully fueled rocket is heavy. So it's one thing to keep in mind. You have two fully fueled rockets. You begin to push its capabilities a little bit. But yeah, it's a very, very good point. Once again, you want me to mention the 100K challenge. Okay, for those of you who are unfamiliar, you keep up with SpaceX, you keep up with Starship, all that sort of thing. I have the 100K challenge. The 100K challenge is this: if Vulcan Centaur manages to deploy Peregrine to the moon before Starship makes a successful orbital test, I will tattoo SpaceX fanboy on my butt. That is to say, if I'm at 100,000 subscribers, you need to be part of the 100K sub club. That is how cautiously optimistic I am that Vulcan Centaur will launch before Starship. However, Blue Origin did a great job of really hacking me off with the way they've been delivering BE4 engines lately. So in any event, we'll see what's up with that. Do we have Marina on right now? If that is indeed the case, hello. Oh yes, hello, Marina. Thank you so much for joining us, Marina, our Ukrainian follower, Ukrainian viewer, who's been watching and supporting my channel for so long. I'm so grateful to have her with us tonight, especially given the fact that she has been experiencing all kinds of hardships, power outages, airstrikes, a wide variety of awful things. So everybody keep Marina and her family and loved ones in your thoughts. Okay, looks like we're getting closer. As you can see, Cosmic Girl is beginning to take its looping track as it begins to get into position. 200K, that's to get both budgies. A Rocket Lab launch will be safer than being 5 miles from SpaceX. Yeah, that's probably true. Probably true indeed. So in any event, Plastic Mug, thank you so much for the $5. Really do appreciate that. Once again, very good point, Anton. We have yet to have the launch. The launch has not yet happened. They still need to drop the rocket. We are coming very close to the critical moment. This is definitely the moment of truth. Once again, Virgin Orbit has a great deal of confidence tonight, and I don't blame them. They have a very good track record. But this is a whole new deal. Shipping the rocket transatlantic, having the payload integrated in a different facility, all of those things could add complications to this, but I do have a lot of confidence that this is going to go off well. And once it does, everything will change. Everything will definitely change. We are currently counting down, just dropped below 13 minutes to the time when the launch should take place. The rocket drop, so we are getting beyond close indeed. Okay, looks like we have looks like we have some interesting stuff happening in the chat. Once again, that goes to show that we're having a successful stream if that kind of stuff is happening. So thanks very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. And yes, indeed, Marina, please stay strong and please stay safe, most importantly of all, through this extremely difficult time in European history. Rocket flares from Yorkshire, probably not. And I would say that once again, the best chance is going to be from around this area, and also the very best chance, assuming that the weather is cooperating, would be from Cork County in Ireland. Southern Ireland would be your best chance indeed. Yes, that's correct. It would be like a circular holding pattern. Correct, Andrew. It's very similar to that because all they're doing essentially is going through their go for launch poll. They're just making sure that they get a go for launch from every officer at mission control who's responsible for different aspects of the rocket before it is dropped. So this is exactly like a vertical launch in that respect. The only difference is they're doing it from an airplane. But very, very similar indeed. Looks like almost 1,200 people watching. So yes, we are. Let's see here. Let's go ahead. By the way, let's give a go for launch, guys. Everybody, go ahead and post a go for launch. I'd love to see a go for launch poll get going on our own stream. Let's go ahead and send our own opinions out to the to Cosmic Girl and to Virgin Orbit. Let's go for launch. Super excited, guys. I'll tell you, this is a moment I've been waiting a very long time for. Got my first interview going with Mel Thorpe. At the time, she had only just taken over as director of Spaceport Cornwall, and it's the time that's elapsed and everything that's happened since then. Truly amazing stuff. Let's go, guys. Go for launch. Light that candle. Let's go, guys. 10 minutes and counting. Thank you so much, Bright Weird. I do appreciate that for the £9 strap 4 Sabre engines. Yes, the Sabre engine, of course, being an engine that was designed for the Skylon space plane, which has yet to be developed. But nevertheless, there is a new Skylon space plane that is in development. And in addition to that, there's something similar to the Skylon that's being developed in Canada and is intended to be launched from Spaceport Cornwall, a space plane that's capable of carrying not only satellites, but also human passengers. Exciting stuff indeed. Go for launch down the track. Thank you so much. Over 1,200 people watching this broadcast. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. This has been a process. Any information on the CubeSats that are on Launcher 1? Yes, Andrew, let me go ahead and tell you. For one thing, we have a maritime reconnaissance satellite that's going to be part of a constellation that will be detecting any sort of illegal fishing activities, piracy, that sort of thing. So we have that, and what it does is it tracks vessels that are not using the proper transponders and automatically notifies the local Coast Guard. Ken, thank you so much for the £10. Really do appreciate it, David. Thank you so much for your support. In addition to that, we also have Space Forge. That is a very, very important payload. It is a satellite, a reusable satellite designed to manufacture unique materials in orbit. This includes unique types of alloys, unique types of polymers, and also 3D printed organs. Which is something that could eliminate the need for organ procurement in the future. Huge thing indeed, as far as that's concerned. From the UK, for UK defense, from the satellite from Oman, as part of this payload too. So lots and lots of important payloads on board. As I've said a number of times, this is not a demonstration mission. This is not a proof of concept mission. This is a mission that has a lot of high paying customers, and it needs to go well. Let us hope. Let us hope indeed. 1,200 people, over 1,200 people watching. Thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe, and thank you so much for your support. These super chats that have been coming in, You guys are absolutely fantastic. Orbital payload 500 kilograms maximum to LEO for launcher 1, 2 orders of magnitude smaller. That's true. That's true, Matthew. It is a small launcher. There's no question about that. However, it is bigger than Rocket Lab's low Earth orbit capabilities. But yeah, sats. But then again, it's $12 million to launch, and you're launching it to the orbit you want to launch it to.
Important and exciting new capability. I first heard the Rolling Stones when I was at school, and their songs have been in my head ever since. As a nervous teenager, armed with a tape recorder bigger than me, I interviewed Mick Jagger for Student magazine. And years later, we tried to sign the band, and years after that, we finally managed to bring the Stones to Virgin Records, and they helped make us the biggest independent record label in the world. I remember hearing Keith Richards kick off Start Me Up when we promoted the Stones comeback tour in 2012. A decade on, they're still going strong, and I've loved spending time with them over the years, even if Ronnie Wood beats me at poker and pool. One of the most wonderful parts of Virgin Orbit's missions has been the opportunity to bring the Virgin family together, not least by honouring a Virgin Records artist with each launch. And this should be the most thrilling one yet. Congratulations and good luck to all involved in this launch in Cornwall, the UK and worldwide. Like the song says, once we start it up, we will never stop.
What's that? Is that you? It's you.
Yeah. Oh, God. They're about to fall off. Get in front of the camera. I need to get in front of the camera.
All right, okay, all right. Right, so it's still low on sound.
Starting to drain me in a huge way. I arrived at Gatwick at 5 a.m. yesterday and didn't get any sleep for at least about 48 hours. So in any event, beginning to drag at this stage, but still trying to keep going on caffeine and adrenaline. So in any event, let me go ahead and join everybody real quick. Make sure that we can see the chats that are taking place right now. Thank you very much. We are super close, guys. Once again, they may not launch at this particular time. It is possible that they may decide to launch a bit later. It's difficult to say. So all we can do is wait and hope. All right. Oh, hello again, everybody. Let's see. If Virgin Orbit launched at the maximum ceiling altitude, wouldn't they be able to send payloads to higher orbit? Yeah, but there is some concern about matters of control, that sort of thing. I mean, you also need to make sure that you're not pushing your aircraft too far beyond. I mean, obviously, the 747 has a capability of a higher ceiling, but you may want a ceiling, that's more reasonable in terms of its ability to maintain atmospheric control for a launch. 2 laps of the racetrack before launch. I'm not sure if I heard that or not. We'll see what ends up happening. But all I know is that we are minutes away from launch at this particular second. Yes, got to keep the coffee flowing. Once this drops, then obviously we're going to have some exciting moments indeed. Okay, drop confirmed. Wait a minute. There's no way that just happened unless we're not getting a live stream. We have not dropped yet, just to confirm. Drop has not yet taken place. We should get a camera feed at some point. I'm a little confused about that. So we are at a point where a drop could be performed. But obviously, since the aircraft is in the middle of a turn right now, that is not going to happen until it makes a... Do we have camera feed? Did it just drop? Waiting for confirmation.
You can see now, this is an aft camera view from
Looks
the
like we have
drop.
camera
So
feed
we
currently.
have, it looks to be a successful ignition of the stage
Rocket is
1
dropped.
engine.
Confirming once
as we
again,
make
the
our way
rocket
to
has
space.
indeed dropped. Here we go. Not only has it dropped, I'm looking to see if we have any sign. I'm not terribly surprised that we can't see much of anything. No, no flare to be seen. No flare to be seen, guys. Unfortunately. Bear with me for a moment, just checking on current status. Engines are burning. Everything looks nominal. Everything's looking very nominal for the launch currently. Nominal burn. Rocket is now passed through max Q. Everything looking ideal. Main engine cutoff. We have now reached main engine cutoff. Second stage is now fired. Everything going perfectly, just as was predicted by the Virgin Orbit staff that I talked to. Everything looking fantastic. Everything looking fantastic. once again, we've passed through max Q, we have main engine cutoff, and now the second stage has fired its rocket. It has a substantially longer burn time than the first stage, so we'll see where we are with that process. But as of right now, everything is looking perfect. Once again, any concerns that may have existed about the state of the rocket, about the unique conditions of trying to do this from a transatlantic situation or transatlantic environment, carrying the rocket across the Atlantic, having the payload integrated in a different place, largely by UK technicians, no problems whatsoever, and Cosmic Girl is winging its way back towards Spaceport Cornwall as we speak. And everything is looking absolutely nominal, both in terms of burn trajectory, heading up to the appropriate orbit. Once again, like clockwork, exactly as it was described to me by the Virgin Orbit staff. Mind-blowing. I had a lot of opportunities to speak to the technicians and engineers who were responsible for this particular rocket. They understood the importance of this mission. They understood the importance of success, and they appear to have achieved that, at least thus far. Man, everything going absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Martin, for the 10 euros. Really do appreciate it. Wow, just amazing.
Another really neat thing to see is the gimbal over on the left-hand side, the blue square on top. And that'll show you the position of the engine as it is steering stage one.
We just had a nominal burn report just now, again from Virgin Orbit Mission Control. Again, everything looking perfect. The rocket is now at 600,000 feet. Everything looking amazing. Everything looking amazing indeed. Yes, that's correct, Andrew. Yes. Again, everything looking fantastic for the for this launch. I mean, once again, it almost seems boring as routine as this is, but once again, this is precisely what we want. What is not routine. Now we are about to have an engine cutoff on the second stage before deployment. Looking fantastic. And once again, everything changing for Europe at this moment. Everything is changing. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. Really do appreciate that. Thanks for being a member for 16 months, and thanks for your support.
Now, some player folks have implemented a sort of order which means that when they are out of the ground stations, we have to learn that so that the next time you do come to the ground station, you can down.
Because of the trajectory of the rocket, it takes it out of view of ground stations for a period of time. So they need to wait for it the signal to be recovered by ground stations before we can check on the status of the rocket again. But thus far, everything looking ideal. Still waiting for more news. Nothing to suggest it. All the burns of the second stage going very smoothly, everything looking nominal, no problems whatsoever as the upper stage, fairing, etc., prepares to deploy its payload. Now we are almost up to second engine cutoff, second stage engine cutoff. There have been multiple burns that have taken place from this engine up to this point in order to get everything into the proper orbits. Again, multiple payloads on board, but everything again looking absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Plastic Pinocchio. Really do appreciate your support as always. All right. It appears that since the rocket is now out of telemetry, is no longer being recovered during this time frame, there's going to be a little time that's going to pass before we have confirmation of payload deployment. I'm going to go ahead and go offline and allow Virgin Orbit to take over for a bit, and then I will return with further information about the deployment of the payloads, and also we'll make sure to be here for the return of Cosmic Girl. See you soon.
After the drop, around about 5 seconds or so after the drop, because we need to make sure that our aircraft is safe and out of the way. We fire what we call our propellant settling thrusters, or our PSTs, and they're solid rocket boosters that are on the back of Launcher 1, and they give the rocket a little push forward to settle our propellants for stage 1. And then we have that main engine start, or MES, for S1. And then you saw over, I think it was about 3 minutes or so, our stage 1 burn, which, as I had said before, does most of the heavy lifting, and our main engine cutoff. Separated from stage 2, and stage 2 has to do the work for the rest of the journey. We start our second stage engine, which is the burn that just happened, and during that burn, we separate our fairings. And what that does, it opens up the pointy end of the rocket, essentially, through ordnance firing. That opens up that section and exposes the payloads. We continue to fly under power on our second stage during that first burn, and then we'll have that cut off. And you can see the graphic on the screen right now. We again get to the coast, which is the phase that we're in right now. And we do a maneuver. We execute a maneuver called the barbecue roll. So essentially we are rifling through the atmosphere. And what this does is it avoids one side of the stage from getting too hot and the other from getting too cold. Our rocket is covered in a spray-on foam insulator, but this is a very standard maneuver procedure that most rocket companies execute. Once we've finished our coast, we will do a second engine start, so SES2. So we restart our second stage engine to lift us a little more, and then we'll cut off that engine, and after that will be our payload separation. And that's when we can start popping champagne corks and dancing. After payload separation, we do have a couple of extra things that we want to do here during this mission, and we will do a maneuver called the CCAM, or the Contamination and Collision Avoidance Maneuver, and then we will actually fire our second stage for a third time, so you'll hear calls for SES, or Second Engine Start 3, and then SECO, or Second Engine Cutoff 3. Once that's complete, we go into a phase that we call safing, and then the mission is complete. You can see images on screen right now from our Mission Control Centre over in Cornwall, the UK. Take a moment to say how much we appreciate the folks that came out to Cornwall this evening to watch our launch. It is a historic day, obviously, for the United Kingdom, but for Eastern Europe as well. And we very much appreciate you all being here today, including those folks that have joined us on the live stream through YouTube. Thank you for being here and being part of this journey with us.
Cigarette ash, it looks like snow when it falls in the wind, you know. And you, oh you say you wanna dance. You're wary, you know, you'll end up in the wrong hands. And you're having fun. Why don't you show your friends? And you're having fun. What if it never ends? I'm lacking sincerity, but you don't care at all. This booze, this cigarette's trying to take me home. Falling in love just a million times, breaking it off, put the feeling on ice still. She's as cold as December. I swear I've seen you before, holding your shoes in your hands, running out that door. And you are nothing, but you say you wanna dance. And you're worried, you know, you'll end up in the wrong hands.
Control D, copy. SMA controls on copy, go ahead. Have you let the tower know that hazardous operations have ended? No, I have not and I cannot, but I can coordinate with Range 1 on FA in it. Copy. Also, did you change the traffic light? No, I did not. Sorry, we're going to green. Is it green now? Let me pull up the... It's okay, LC is working it. Okay, copy. SMA.
From a place of hardship to a place of ease comes a place of flourish. In return, it's for a reason. That I couldn't say yet. Yeah. I don't find time to debate if I deserve growth or if maybe I should preserve coping by hating you, adoring you.
I don't know either. It appears that we are. I'm seeing your view. Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, I will be covering Cosmic Girl making a landing. Actually watching for landing lights right now. Let me go ahead and give you an update on Virgin Orbit's progress. When last, let me make sure I get this as recently as possible. Just to once again confirm, Launcher 1 has once again successfully reached Earth's orbit. Our mission isn't over yet, but our congratulations to the people of the United Kingdom. This is already the first ever orbital mission from British soil. To be more specific or more accurate, this is actually the first orbital commercial mission from Western Europe. And so quite an achievement by the Space UK, rather, the UK Space Agency and partners in government. In addition to that, the upper stage now has shut down and is coasting about halfway around the Earth before the engines relight to complete the deployment of the payload. So we're getting, these are the updates that we are currently getting right now. And we are also waiting for Cosmic Girl to land. And oh my God, it's cold up here. So in any event, I appreciate the fact that we still have almost 900 people watching. Really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thus far, everything's still looking very good for Launcher 1. But once again, do we know what's happening? With the deployment payload, all of that is still kind of up in the air, but let's hope. Yes, I'd like to sleep for 2 days after this, but I won't be able to. Tomorrow I will be doing my my video, my report on what happened today, the triumph of UK space flight, if indeed this is a triumph. Once again, there's every...
This is, of course, the research part of the flight. So there's not a lot happening. I did want to let you know that Cosmic Girl was 70 minutes away from landing. That is our primary mission, safety, verification, and we want to ensure that our flight crew and also from the ground are ultimately safe in all phases of that mission. So just a quick update here from the FCC. We'll be back with more on that.
Cosmic Girl only minutes away from landing. The launcher one is still in the coast.
A lot happening, and you're probably hearing a lot of audio
preparing to reload to complete orbital insertion and the deployment of its payload. So very, very close to the end of this mission. Everything looking really good. My guess would be if there are any problems whatsoever, they will be with the satellites, with the payload, and not with the rocket at this point. If any of the satellites fail because of the satellite systems, not because of launch one. And of course, it is my sincere hope that we have any failures whatsoever. Yes, and Cosmic Girl will be landing in minutes. Just to keep you up to date on that, Cosmic Girl will be on the ground very shortly. I'm keeping my eyes open for her landing lights coming in, at least from the approach that I am expecting her to take, given the fact that that is the direction she approached from the last time. So we'll see. I can't imagine that Cosmic Girl would be approaching from the opposite direction. So to my right is where I'm expecting to see the extremely bright landing lights of Cosmic Girl lighting up the Cornish sky to conclude at least its part of the mission. Also, the pilots and crew will disembark at that point. We may get an opportunity to speak to them. We'll see if any of them would be open to the idea of coming up here and joining us to tell us about their experience. That's a big question mark. We'll see if that actually happens, because they'll probably be coming over in that direction, and they'll be mobbed by tons of spectators. So we'll see whether or not they'll be open to the idea of talking to us. We'll see what happens in that regard. Okay. So once again, thanks very much for joining us. We still have 900 people tuned in at the moment. You guys are amazing. We've had, and overall, I just checked the stats, and well over 20,000 people have tuned in to this broadcast so far tonight. Over 20,000 viewers have tuned in to watch the Angry Astronaut broadcast of this historic event. My mind is completely blown. I've never had a live stream like this in my life. It is quite amazing indeed. We're going to upscale the rocket for a bigger payload, upscale the mothership aircraft. Well, Andrew, there are other ways to upscale the payload. You don't necessarily, and by the way, I'm just checking again for landing lights. You don't have to upscale the rockets to upscale the payload. You can add a third stage, which is what Virgin Orbit is planning to do. And you can also use different kinds of engines, which Virgin Orbit is also planning to do. They're planning to use ion power for the third stage. A solar electric engine would be another way to describe that, which will allow Virgin Orbit to deploy heavier payloads to higher orbits and indeed even pursue interplanetary missions. So big stuff coming from Virgin Orbit as a result of new technology, not necessarily larger rockets. So yeah, neat stuff coming indeed. Once again, thanks so much everybody for tuning in. Please like, please subscribe, and thanks guys for all the incredible support in terms of the super chats and joining as becoming an angry advocate. Also the Patreon support, PayPal, etc. Everything that's been flooding in tonight. You guys have been a huge help to this, and it will help me to continue pushing forward with this channel to bring you broadcasts from other launches, not only in Europe, but also, of course, Cape Canaveral, first launch of Vulcan Centaur, and of course, the big one, the first launch of Starship, the stacked article that's coming as well. So yeah, Cosmic Girl is definitely descending.
Let's hear it for the cameraman again.
Hey, let's hear it for the cameraman, the guy who's been enduring the worst imaginable weather tonight. Once again, we've been pelted by rain, hail, sleet, etc. It has been grim, grim in the extreme, but nevertheless, had some amazing things going on tonight, and the fact that Matt was able to endure this all of these hours, we're talking many hours. He's been here almost 12, actually over 12 hours overall. It's astonishing level of commitment we've had from Matt tonight. Thank you so much for that. And Anton, you are quite welcome. Quite welcome indeed. We've had a hell of a collaborative effort tonight. And not only from Matt, who, by the way, is a Cornish native, speaks Cornish, interestingly enough. It's cool to hear him talk to some of his associates in Cornish. That's always a very cool experience. So neat stuff coming up. It's been an amazing experience, to say the least. And on top of that, also producer support in Yorkshire, ASN, another space nut, also making this possible. Lots of very giving and very talented people here in Britain who have been making everything that I do possible. Thank you so much for everything. All right, Cosmic Girl, still watching for Cosmic Girl's approach. We are not far away from that moment. So a triumphant return, to say the least. The launch providers not to be the ones sending up their sets. Yes, that is true. Instead, the provider of the payloads that need the larger capacity. And for news on the first orbital test flight for Starship, realistically, this will happen sometime this year. Yes, Andrew, I think it will. I think it will happen at some point this year. But it's hard to say exactly when. Elon just announced on Twitter, and once again, who knows what he has to say, but he announced on Twitter that February was a possibility, a real possibility, and that March was much more likely, and that March looks almost certain. Launcher 1 has suffered an anomaly, guys. Launcher 1 has failed to achieve orbit. I'm standing here in a state of disbelief, but you're hearing it first, guys, from this location.
But for this mission,
we have suffered an anomaly. Launcher 1 has now failed to achieve orbit. Its payload is lost. We are attempting to gain more information, but this is a very serious blow for the future of UK spaceflight. What has just happened now, regardless of what the rocket managed to achieve, the fact that it did manage to get to orbit, all of those sorts of things, sadly, all of those things now are very secondary to the fact that we have experienced an anomaly and a moment of serious tragedy for the future of UK spaceflight, if indeed this is true. But once again, I do not believe that there's any other reason to believe that this is not the case. This is something that this program definitely will have a hard time overcoming. Once again, I'm standing here in a state of shock, a state of utter disbelief, given the fact that everything seemed to go so phenomenally well with Launcher 1. Everything seemed to go so incredibly well with the main engine, secondary engine, etc. But that is not what has happened today. We have suffered a tremendous blow to the future of UK spaceflight and to the future of Virgin Orbit as well. Virgin Orbit may have a very difficult time recovering from this event. There's no easy way to say it. There's no easy way to say it at all. As I say, this is space. Anomalies occur, but this was the worst time for an anomaly to occur for Virgin Orbit, for it to have happened over here. Now, of course, the speculation will begin. Is this something that was created by the problem of bringing the rocket over here? Is this something that was created because of the unique challenges of trying to do a transatlantic flight with this equipment? Is this, but one thing is certain. It's a very significant blow. We have Cosmic Girl incoming now. Regrettably, what should have been such a triumphant moment for this program is now ending on a very, very grim note. I can only begin to imagine the state of emotion, the range of emotions that are raining down the heads of these people here, especially of the staff of Spaceport Cornwall. This is quite a catastrophe, and there's no other easy way to say it. I would not be living up to my integrity as a journalist to paint this any other way. If they have a full loss of the rocket, which they appear to have, this is a catastrophe for Virgin Orbit and for the future of UK spaceflight. Not to say that everything else here is going to come to a grinding halt, but now there's going to be some serious questions asked about the future of the program. We do not know. We do not know all of the details. I'm trying to pull up more information.
About 2 minutes till Cosmic Girl.
2 minutes until Cosmic Girl lands. Once again, what should have been a triumphant moment for these amazing pilots and amazing crew that made all of this possible. But now it's going to be a grim moment, a moment where they did their job. There's no question about that. They definitely did their job. It'd be hard to say this any other way. Everything looked so fantastic. Perhaps it could have been a situation. You have to remember, secondary engine cutoff occurred, and it was going through a coast phase. It would have needed to relight its engines in order to perform orbital insertion. If its engines failed to relight, that might be a reason that this occurred. But right now, we're only dealing with speculation, and we are unlikely to have a solid answer as to what is going to happen, or actually what caused all of this and what is to come. What we do know, though, is this is grim indeed for Virgin Orbit and for the future of the program. There's no question about that. So, I mean, there's little question that the vertical launch attempts from Saxavord Spaceport will still go forward in spite of this. But pretty sure I see it right there. The landing lights. Landing lights of Cosmic Girl are now visible. coming in what should have been a moment of triumph for these pilots and for this crew. Now instead, a moment of sadness. And there is no other way to spin this. So now a number of very difficult questions are going to have to be asked, because there is a great deal of time invested and a lot of professional expertise that went in to this mission and into this rocket. And now, in spite of all of that, in spite of everything that was invested, ending this on a very sour note. And now it's going to be up to the UK Space Agency. It's going to be up to investors here in Britain. Here comes Cosmic Girl coming in for a touchdown. Welcome home, Cosmic Girl. And I wish we had better news for you. Yeah, it does appear that my suspicion was that we didn't have a second engine relight. As it would appear to me that the most likely situation was a failure of the second engine to relight in order to perform orbital insertion. Boy, that's an unusual thing to have happen. Newton 4 is a very reliable engine. It's performed extremely well in the past. We've never had a failure of this kind with Virgin Orbit, and it couldn't have asked for a worse time for this to occur. Guys, at this point, we have nothing else to report aside from the fact that we do have a failure. An anomaly of some kind that is yet to be reported has made what should have been and what appeared to be for quite some time a triumphant moment for the future of not only spaceflight from the United Kingdom, but spaceflight from Europe in general, which should have been a very triumphant moment. Instead, a moment of great disappointment. And as I say, no other way to spin this besides that. At this point, all we can do is analyze it, see what happened. Obviously, space is always difficult. Anomalies do occur. They occur with everybody. They occurred even with, SpaceX many times during the early part of their program. But nevertheless, we can say that as many times as we want to until we're blue in the face. It doesn't change the fact that this is unquestionably a significant setback for this program, for Spaceport Cornwall, and for UK spaceflight. And now it is up to the UK government, to Virgin Orbit, and anybody who supports them as to whether or not this program is going to move forward in spite of this anomaly, or whether they're going to let this sabotage it. It is my sincere hope that the UK makes the decision to push forward in spite of this setback. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for your support. I will continue to update you on everything that has occurred and as many details as I can gather. I'm sure that right now Virgin Orbit and Spaceport Cornwall are very much in damage control mode, but nevertheless are trying to find out what has happened, and I will get you as many details as I possibly can in my video release that I make about what occurred tonight or in the early morning here in Cornwall when I release my video about it tomorrow. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in, and until a successful launch actually occurs from the United Kingdom, I urge all of you to stay angry about space.